All right, hi everybody, and welcome to Dude's Brunch, a podcast about pop culture and breakfast food, but not necessarily in that order. With me, as always, from Cincinnati, Ohio, in a slightly different location, Tyler Sneezy Panda TDR Designs. Reed, what did you have for brunch today?
I don't know why he's laughing. Nothing's happened yet.
Sean's on the floor laughing.
well-
Haven't even said anything yet.
Migo square check. Sean cries laughing.
Well, usually for my brunch, breakfast, lunch, I have a smoothie in the morning. I decided to just say fuck it. Just I don't know why.
Ding. Just check that box.
I had been doing it. I had been making a smoothie for like every day for the entire week, and I was just like, no, not today. I'm gonna get a donut. So I'm like driving down to Holtman's, and then I'm like, oh, there's no place to park, and I just kind of kept going. And I'm like, shit, what am I gonna eat? I ended up getting to work like 20 minutes early. I'm like, there's a Starbucks next door. And so I ended up getting like a ham and Swiss panini and like some raspberry loaf bread, and I was like, I should probably get some coffee too since I'm here. And so I got the smallest Americano. I regretted that because I just hate Starbucks now. I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's just not good coffee.
How much did all that set you back?
It was like $10, and that's the funniest part is that like that was like a fancy gas station meal. Like it was.
Wow.
It was only like high quality.
Starbucks.
Yeah. I mean, they probably just threw it in the oven, like a little like microwave oven, and then they're probably frozen. So. Oh, what was that? Anybody else hear that sound?
Yeah, I heard it too. I don't know what it was though.
It was probably Taylor. He's probably doing something weird. Anyway,
Thanks.
so that was my brunch.
Great story, Tyler. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right over here in the story basket. Sean, what'd you have for brunch today?
I had a burger.
Yes.
I had the Traveler from the rail. It was probably like a quarter pound burger, or it's probably like a half pound burger. Avocado, red onions, pepper mayo. It was pretty good. I had a Coke with that instead of having black coffee. But yeah, I took my dad out for lunch, so that's why it was a burger instead of normal breakfast food. But I guess technically before that, my quote-unquote breakfast was a French cream Danish thing. It kind of looked like a cannoli, but it didn't have like the same cream on the inside, the same paste. So.
Interesting. And down here in Athens, Ohio, I'm your host, Taylor. And for brunch this morning, I had actually a pretty big brunch because I knew I wasn't really going to eat lunch. So I had coffee, obviously, some Frosted Mini Wheats, some banana, and toast. Pretty
Did you have a
standard.
glass of orange juice with that to make it a balanced breakfast?
You know, I didn't. But later in the day, I had this guava mango juice that I got because it was on sale. It's clear.
So it's Capri Sun.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Capri Sun. It tastes like marginally better than Capri Sun, but it looks like Capri Sun. It was really odd. I don't think I'm going to get it again. But enough about boring minutia. Let's get into the show.
What's your side note?
As a side note, for my graduation party 6 months later, Catherine decided to get me a cold brew pot so I could make coffee. And I'm like, oh, now I don't have to have Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
Until you don't want to make it anymore, then you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't actually really mind it because you just, like, throw the crap in and just let it sit overnight. And it's done the next day. Very easy. I highly recommend cold brew if you like iced coffee. Because, you know,
I just make it on a French press and put it in the refrigerator.
Yeah, you could do that too.
I like the idea of having a cold brew, though. I already have like 6 coffee machines. What's one more, right?
That's right. And it's not even a machine. It's just a mash filter and a base.
So it's literally a French press.
No.
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 It is quite different. There is some coffee blog right now that's going to hate on us for you saying that comment.
Hey, it'll drive traffic to our podcast, and I'm all about it. All right, so let's get into the reason we're actually here, gentlemen. We have 3 topics tonight from the annals of pop culture. Well, actually 2, and then 1 about breakfast food. Shut up. So I guess since we're already talking about it, let's talk about breakfast food, Tyler. What do you have for us this week?
That's my topic.
Was that your topic?
I know. I'm surprised.
Do you even know my name anymore? Are we even in love?
I wouldn't know your name because it's not on the screen and nobody can read it.
It's not?
Oops. Amateur.
I know. I'm usually the one that picks the low-hanging fruit topics. I'm sorry, Taylor.
I'll have to fix that one. It was on there before, though.
Well, Sean, talk to us about breakfast while you're doing that.
Okay. Well, okay. So basically, how I found this topic was I was searching the annals of Reddit again because everybody has to say that word today. It's the word of the day. Ding! I was looking for viral video. Stop it! You're making me throw out the bingo board already. I was looking for viral videos. It was on the Reddit board of like deep cuts of YouTube or something, and it was essentially a video of children eating breakfast from around the world, American children, I should say, eating different breakfasts from like different countries around the world. And that kind of got me started on, because I laughed a lot when I watched it, which is why I kind of picked it, because I thought it would be something that would be interesting, that everybody would kind of enjoy. So, I mean, basically, we'll post the video so everybody can see it, because it's kind of difficult for me to describe it besides kids eating breakfast from around the world. So we'll just get right into questions. So, what was your favorite breakfast food as a kid, everybody? We'll start with Tyler, because he's paying attention right now.
I don't actually know.
I was listening. Don't hate.
I don't know what my favorite breakfast food was.
There was nothing? Did you have a favorite cereal, or?
You know what? I'm gonna go just to spite Tyler.
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite breakfast food. Shut up. My favorite breakfast food growing up was cocoa wheats. Do you guys remember those?
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like oatmeal, but just a little bit chocolatey. And if you put some brown sugar in them, they're like.
What are you talking about? No, my parents ate cocoa wheats all the time. It didn't. Let me tell you what it didn't taste like: oatmeal with chocolate.
That's totally gross. Either way, cocoa wheats and some toast. That was like my breakfast of choice as a kid. I'm all about that life.
Well, I can tell you specifically wasn't toast, and it definitely wasn't oatmeal. So we can just get that out of the way. It was probably all like, I don't know, probably a cereal, probably a sugary cereal. I don't know. Maybe.
Which one?
I think it was anything that had marshmallows in it. Very early on, I was very into the very sugary ones. Cinnamon French Toast Crunch. I liked Cinnamon Life. Cinnamon Life was actually pretty good as like
that is
best
still good.
Yeah, Cinnamon
normal
Life
cereal.
Great.
Right. I mean, I agree.
Regular life.
Oh yeah.
When you think about life, you don't really think about that quality of a cereal, though. I gotta say, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is just crappy mini wheats with no flavor.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't know. I had no choice of what, I mean, I had a choice, but it felt very guided.
Yeah.
So what my breakfast was, I don't know. I think there was like French, like little like sort of like kids meal, like French toast sticks maybe.
Oh my gosh, my mom made so many French toast sticks as a kid. It was awful.
Did we used to get those at school for brunch for lunch or something? I think.
Yes, and so some days I'd have
them
them for breakfast and for lunch, and I would be like, why? These aren't even that good.
I remember they were like the crappiest ever. Like they were either like rock hard and stiff as a board, or they were like limp. Like.
Yep. They're so
They
bad.
were the worst. So I think my favorite breakfast food when I was a kid, I didn't grow up in a breakfast family. There's a side note there. So I think it was the time between cherry Pop-Tarts and what are those the Post cereal that comes in the little chunks, the little balls? That's like, there's like no flavor to them at all.
Oh, Kicks.
No. It's like even worse than that. It's like bran little tiny balls. I forget what it's called now. I'll have to look it up.
I did like toaster strudels.
Oh yeah,
I
we had
remember
those.
that.
Too.
Well, yeah, everybody likes toaster strudels because they're just pure sugar.
Did you ever like draw on anything cool on the icing with them? Did you ever like ice some cool ways?
No.
No?
You can't. It's not possible.
No, I used to draw pictures on them.
What?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I wasn't
Jet plane and
artistically awakened at like 12, unfortunately.
I guess
wasn't
that's how our childhood's different. We're different.
I know.
Listeners, tweet us in and let us know if you drew things with the toaster strudels. I'm curious. I think
drew
Sean...
anything at all.
Do you guys remember Pop-Tart markers?
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
They had like Pop-Tart markers, and they sent you, if you got a box of like cinnamon Pop-Tarts, of course, because they had to be like the smooth top. You could like draw on the Pop-Tarts with the marker, and it was an edible marker. I mean,
That's pretty sweet.
I assume it was edible marker. I don't know if it actually was.
You might have cancer.
Yes.
If you don't know.
Right. Consuming large amounts of marker carcinogens.
Yep. Sean, we're sorry you have marker cancer. You only have 6 months to live.
Oh.
What else you got for us, Sean? Oh, wow.
Okay,
These
so
are
my
actually
question
real. I just looked it up. Pop-Tart food coloring markers. They're
Right.
actually real.
Out of all the breakfasts that were shown, what was the greatest breakfast reaction of all the kids?
The kid who ate, I think it was like the Korean breakfast that was spicy and just like started spazzing out because he wasn't expecting spicy food. Totally the best one.
I'll tell you what wasn't my favorite reaction. Anyone that was like, gross. Get over yourself, 5-year-olds. Other people's cultures are just as good as yours.
There's a moral lesson to be learned from watching this video. It's not just that breakfasts are different, but you should accept the difference of breakfasts.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. It's irrelevant, but
Start your day in a worldly way. That could be it.
with some chocolate sprinkles on a piece of toast. Those kids were jamming to that.
That was my favorite one. That's what I was going to say. That was my favorite one because all the kids are like, is this really breakfast? Is this what people really eat there?
Now those are okay. That's fine. And there was the one like random like Asian one that they found delicious that I don't remember what they
I forget which one it was.
put in it. It doesn't matter.
Which was the one with the egg, that black egg?
Oh,
It
the
was supposed to,
century
like-
egg?
Yeah, the
that's
century
like an egg
egg.
that's buried in ash for an extended period of time. They're super gross.
Oh,
Do you
I
actually
think
know they're
so,
super
right.
gross, or is that just your uneducated opinion?
I've smelled them,
Yeah.
and they smell super gross.
Taylor Olmsted, professional egg smeller.
No, like they sell it at like restaurants, and you can smell it from tables away when somebody orders it. It's really gross. Yeah.
I did like the opening reaction of the kid that picks up the thing. He's like, "There's a fish in my soup," and I was like, I want some.
Eat it.
So, real quick, let's read some tweets. Sarah says icing is a very difficult medium. I agree. Luke says, I always tried to copy the commercials and get the perfect squiggle. And no, Taylor, I did not draw toaster strudel dicks. I mean,
That's what's
Luke,
up.
I would have expected that from you, so I'm glad you're dispelling that right away.
Thanks, Luke. I appreciate you, buddy. This one's to you. This Milwaukee's best moment is brought to you by Luke.
Not sponsored.
No.
For the record, even Daniel is voicing his disapproval of you and your Milwaukee's Best Ice.
That's
Because
all right.
it's a terrible, terrible beer. You should be ashamed of yourself.
It's got 5.9% alcohol.
That's not a good choice. Did you have other questions about breakfast food, Sean?
Yes. Okay. So the next question, the third question was,
Hopefully you're not drinking Milwaukee's Best Ice for breakfast.
no, please, please. If you need help, we will help you here at Dude's Brunch. What was your favorite breakfast food of all the breakfast foods shown in the video? So basically what I'm saying is, which one of the breakfasts shown would you choose to eat?
There was one that I think it was like Holland or something that had like a really interesting looking egg dish and some potatoes, and it looked pretty similar to an American breakfast, but everything was prepared a little differently. I'm going with that one.
Okay.
I would normally go with that, but due to my poopy problems, I would probably go with Brazil. Because they had coffee and a bunch of fruit.
Did you like the reactions to coffee? That blew my mind. They're like, ooh, coffee tastes gross. I was
To
like,
be fair, I don't like hot coffee either. Suck it, haters.
I mean, when I was a kid, I hated the taste of coffee, and now I drink coffee all the time.
I still kind of hate the taste of coffee.
I think I would have chosen the Finland one with the salmon. I could eat salmon every meal.
Oh, I don't know.
I love salmon. Could just flop right on into my mouth. Maybe my spirit animal is like a bear or something like that. That might be the truth. Okay, so my last question is, what would the perfect Dude's Brunch breakfast entail? Like if Dude's Brunch were to make a breakfast right now, it would be on the menu. What would it have?
Well, we know what everyone has to drink.
Geta.
Black coffee.
Yes, I agree with that.
No water, no milk.
No.
Black coffee.
Black
Not
coffee.
a mimosa? Oh, wait, I guess it's breakfast.
Yeah.
You could have mimosas with breakfast. You probably shouldn't.
But you have to have black coffee still.
Mimosas are specifically for brunch.
Well, yeah, it's a brunch. The perfect brunch.
We're talking about breakfast.
Yeah, the breakfast.
Breakfast.
Why? We don't get up early enough for breakfast. At least I don't on the weekends.
That's
why we
point,
record this
Taylor.
podcast at 9:30 at night.
I don't care.
It's because there were early birds, that's why.
It's beside the point. He wants to know what breakfast is.
Fine. Black coffee, obviously.
Yes.
I don't know.
We all grew up in Cincinnati, so I want to put Geta on that list.
I don't like Geta, though.
Tyler, do you like Geta?
You don't like Geta.
Yeah, we both like it, so 2 beats 1.
I'm glad you're not Cincinnati, Taylor.
I'm not actually from there. I moved there when I was like 5.
So did I.
I lived here all my life, and I hated it for years. But you know what?
I haven't had it since I was a kid.
When was the last time you tried it?
I was a kid.
You
See,
need to get a sandwich.
here comes the train, open up the tunnel. Choo choo, here it comes.
Oh no, it's going off the rails!
I hate you both.
So black
Okay.
coffee and Geta. That's the only thing we have. Ham? I can agree with ham.
I mean, I don't think ham is... As long as we call it ham and not Canadian bacon.
Yeah, none of that Canadian crap. I'm from
probably
America
okay.
here.
You can do that.
Yeah, I like that. I could do ham.
Some sort of potato.
Yes. But what kind? You have to be specific. There's a difference. If you do like home fries, it's a lot different than hash browns.
I think
See,
browns.
I like home fries because you can cook like peppers and onions into them.
Yeah, I like home fries too.
I'm going to go with home fries.
All right, home fries it is. Whatever.
Okay. I think we need to have like one other. Like, okay, so if Dude's Brunch was a cereal, keep it 100. What cereal would we be?
Off-brand Cheerios covered with Splenda.
I was gonna say a bowl full of nails with some PBR in it.
Yeah, you're pouring PBR into your off-brand Cheerios because you're out of milk.
And then you sprinkle some nails in, right?
It's just a searing hot bowl of black coffee. That's all that it is.
Our aesthetic is very punk, you guys.
Burn your face off hot, like black coffee.
Unfortunately, I don't feel like any of us IRL are as hardcore as we want to be.
Nope, that's why we have a podcast.
Hey, what up? But I guess if we had to choose an already established cereal,
Yes.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
not like granola, but something kind of like that.
Maybe like a parfait.
We have to be like not too sugary,
Yeah.
huh?
Maybe like a parfait, like some yogurt and granola type thing.
No, I was saying we could be kind of close to granola cereal, but not quite, because I feel like it's too healthy. You know, it's like we need to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
Because we're not actually good for
Mom's
anything.
brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Frosted Mini Wheats. Let's go.
Yeah, I like Frosted Mini Wheats.
Oh yeah, I can go with that.
Tweet in,
Alright.
what cereal do you think we are at Dude's
Yeah.
Brunch?
What cereal are you?
These are the pressing topics. We need answers.
We are solving the world's problems tonight, gentlemen.
One bite at a time.
So, on that note, let's probably not solve, but at least discuss an actual problem. As my topic this week, I want to talk about sampling, and not like eating free food at Sam's Club.
Oh.
I'm talking using clips of songs in other songs. So I put a list together of some sample-based albums for you guys to listen to. They'll be in the show notes for other people to listen to if they would like to do that. They were, in case you were curious, Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys, which was mixed by the Dust Brothers, Introducing by DJ Shadow, which has the Guinness World Record for the first album completed entirely with samples, and All Day by Girl Talk, because it's awesome. So before we get into the news about sampling, I just want to get your guys' impressions. What did you think? Have you experienced music like this before? What was your reaction to it?
Yes.
Both of your reaction was just yes. That's it.
That's all I need to say about that.
Well, I feel like you had showed me Girl Talk before, and I was like in a different zone then, so I wasn't like as enthralled with it. But listening to All Day, basically like 20 minutes ago, I was like, I actually listened to the new song that DJ Shadow and whoever the other guy was, the article you posted. It was the
Night School Click track.
Yeah. I listened to that. That was pretty cool. And I listened to a little bit of Paul's Boutique while I was at it, and I wasn't as blown away by Paul's Boutique, but maybe I just need to listen to it more.
Paul's Boutique is very dense. It probably requires a couple of listens.
Right.
It's also the one with the most vocals involved, because the Beasties are rapping over samples, which gets kind of complicated.
Right. So it's a little bit more buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean, what do you think?
I like it. I appreciate it. I don't know. I don't really have that much like in-depth comment to say per album, as much as I think that I was really okay with it, and I like it because I don't think this just goes like a personal philosophy of mine that, and two, I kind of appreciate it that musicians kind of play off one another, that original thought is like very limited, and that it doesn't happen that often. And I like that people aren't afraid to say, like, yeah, I like this music, that's why I sampled it. Or say, you know, like, I appreciate this music, so that's why I sampled it. I don't see it as, like, a negative thing. I see it as a way of calling back to your predecessors and saying, like, I dig it. I dig it enough to make it part of my own. And I think that's a big statement to make for somebody.
Well, I would say that saying that it's not original, I think, is sort of lowering its like the quality, like making it less artful. because I've heard horrible mashups of like two different songs kind of spliced together. You know, there's obviously like skill involved in sampling and taking things, and if it was easy, you know, it wouldn't be sort of like almost like a revered kind of like style of music.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But Shadow talks about in that interview how when he was first starting, it wasn't, and that was kind of the reason that he did what he did and made a whole album
right.
without a rapper that was just instrumental hip hop because he wanted to prove that you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really
I just want
interesting.
to defend that it does require original thought, and it's not just like,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, listening to Girl Talk, I think, should convince anyone of that. So we kind of already talked about this, but does this seem like art to you guys? Is it art on the same level that the original song is art?
I mean, that feels like a pretty silly question to ask because, of course, it is, because we live in postmodern America, you know. And even if we weren't, it would still be art. You know, it's like, it's all about context anyway. You know, just to shut down the what is art conversation. It's about context. So, yes, it's art.
That's the answer I was looking for. I just wanted to put it in here because I
All
feel
right.
like whenever you talk about sampling, you have to ask that question.
Yeah.
Anyone that says
I agree.
differently is wrong.
And if you don't like it, you can tweet it TDR Design.
That's right.
Tweet hard.
Tweet hard, tweet often. That should be a shirt. Tweet hard, tweet often. All right, so moving into the article-specific questions, in his interview, DJ Shadow talks about sampling laws and copyright and fair use, and saying that he thinks we should be taking a musicological approach to this, where, say, if your song is made up of X% of another song, that's how much you should pay in fair use rights and all that stuff. So, like a percentage-based charge for samples, essentially. Sean, you're already shaking your head no to this. What do you think?
Who cares?
Well,
think,
obviously,
like, okay. Well, this is the thing about math that like boggles my mind when people say that stuff. It will always be this contestable thing. So like the person that's getting sampled I won't say that they always will. They might always say like, no, it was a longer percentage, so I deserve more. Versus the person that sampled and said it was a shorter percentage. That's why I thought that was kind of a strange argument. But at the same time, I think like I would be flattered if anybody ever sampled my music. Not that there's much of it, because there's not. But like, you know, I just think like maybe if I just think that's something they can take in consideration, that somebody takes you that seriously that they're ready to sample your music.
But they're also using the emotional connections people have with your music to promote their own music.
I just don't think that really matters to me that much. Like, I think that's just part of the business, you know. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but
well, the
that's how I
RIAA
feel
certainly
like.
thinks so.
Well, yeah, that's because they're a business entity. They need to make money. That's why I kind of came back to all these articles. For me, was that intellectual property holds such a high standard with everybody that even sampling, like, we're ready to hinder creativity in order to make money. And that kind of sits in a weird way with me. Like, I don't know if I necessarily think that that's true. It's like somebody saying, well, you can't use oil painting because I used oils first. So you owe me kind of a royalty. And I think to myself, like, where does it end? I just see it. I mean, I know this is like a slippery slope fallacy, that it just keeps going and going and going, but I think that might be where we're at right now, is that everything is kind of slippery slope. Everything kind of leads itself to this, well, I did that first. Or you can't use that particular kind of distortion because that's my distortion. It's like positivism gone awry.
Tyler, do you have a comment before I follow up on that?
Well, I was just going to say that with this being art comes like the level of responsibility. And, you know, if they want to charge a percentage, like a semi-arbitrary percentage based on how much they sampled of each song in a song, then whatever. You know, like, you either are going to make it free because you sampled a bunch of other people's music and then just let it go, you know, pay what you want, that's fine. Or you can deal with, like, this bureaucracy and, like, however much percentage, you know. I mean, that seems fine to me, because you are using other people's music, you're using their stuff, so it would be different if it was, like, an instrument or whatever, but this is literally, like, parts of a song that have already been created. And, you know, if you steal a hook, you know, as we've seen with, like, you know, Under Pressure, you know, with Vanilla Ice's and MC Hammer and all that stuff, like, that,
Right, and Bruno Mars more recently has gotten in some trouble with that. Robin Thicke.
Almost literally lifted a song, and people were like, "Oh, that sounds so good," you know. Well, it's just stolen, you know. Just like the "Oh, sometimes I got a feeling." Yeah, like that was in like 20 songs like 3 years ago.
Because it was probably a really cheap sample.
Right, and that practically made, I don't know, like, you know, it was Avicii and Flo Rida, I think both used that sample, and those were both like big hits that summer. So
Yeah, and so that brings up the article about Paul's Boutique, which is why I had you guys listen to at least part of that. There's been a lot of talk since NCA has passed away about sampling, and particularly with this album, because a few days before he died, the Beastie Boys were sent yet another set of like charges and suit papers relating to this album that came out in 1989. I mean, they have been sued over this album more than any other album. There are so many samples in this thing that even the people who made it disagree on how many are in there. And so it's kind of becoming this weird piece of culture where anybody can claim some stake to it and potentially get some money out of the Beastie Boys. I mean, on the one hand, they are stealing whole like 8, 10, 12-bar sections of other people's songs, but should they still be getting sued? Should we be suing Adam Yauch's estate over this? Like, the dude's dead. Sean is already visibly upset.
No. It's not that I'm visibly upset. I think, like, okay, if you're going to sample somebody and they're going to get heard about it, you know, like, of course you should talk. I think that it's just good practice to, like, talk to people. Okay, so it gets different. It gets really difficult right here because it's like, if you sampled somebody whose music is owned as part of an estate or something like that, like sampling the Beatles or something like that, it becomes like a really sticky process that becomes embattled with lawyers and estates and money and franchisement and different stuff like that. And I think, you know, that's something that has to be hashed out. But at the same time, part of me feels like I don't want to hinder music. I don't want to hinder the progression of music because everybody is so caught up in the idea that they are going to get sued if they are to, you know, kind of present a homage to somebody that has come before. So I guess that's why I feel so in between on this issue, because I want to get paid as much as anybody, but at the same time, I think if somebody is influenced by me, I'm really flattered. You know, and I don't necessarily feel that I should make a cut of that, but that's the part of me is when I was going over your topic, I was thinking, like, is the distinction between giving money to somebody because the person actually, or the creator of this music or the rights holder needs the money, or because they want the money? I think there's a big distinction in between
that question. You could solve the music industry.
Exactly. I think that's really difficult to figure out.
if I'm being honest, it feels a little idealist of you, Sean, to be like, oh, it's okay, you guys can use my music. It's no big deal. You can just steal my hooks. You know, I want to believe that we live in a world where people would, you know, hook somebody up would do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like, especially in the music industry, time and time again, we've seen that it's about making money.
Right.
So.
But part of me wonders if that isn't because Bruno Mars is a selfish individual who doesn't want to share his money, or if it's because that's the name of the game. Like in an ever more competitive community for capturing market share, you have to, like the margins become razor thin. So if you don't get this kind of money, like you really are not eating tomorrow.
Yeah, Sarah brings up an interesting point. She says, if you're already that big, you're probably a little past being flattered. And I think she's right. I think at a certain point, like you were saying, you need to put food on the table and you need to pay off your debts and you need to pay for studio time and all of that. So, do I think that we get a little overboard with lawsuits about sampling? Yeah, but at the same time, like, people got to get paid. It's the same thing with streaming services and a lot of stuff that we talk about on this show with music is we just need to find a way to monetize music so that people get paid, but nobody's getting, like, extorted.
Right. But
And
I
I
feel
don't know
like
what that
more
is.
so that people are always getting, like, that's what I feel like when I read the sampling stuff or when I look at sampling stuff, I feel like that it's not actually people saying, I need to, like, feed my kids or I want to have a retirement, that more of it's saying, like, I want to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was never about, like, promoting somebody's well-being. It was about making outcomes where money passes from the legally correct hand to the legally correct hand.
I don't know what to tell you there. Tyler, any final thoughts on this one?
I mean, I'm just going to say it again. I want to live in a world where Sean is correct. I want to believe that we could eventually come to a part where we can just let people take our hooks, but it's just like it just feels like we're just too concerned looking out for ourselves and just trying to get more money.
Right. I mean,
So,
at a certain point, I feel like I can't separate myself from this because I feel like I'll put myself in this situation and in, like, the shoes of somebody who's, like, pressing charges over sampling use. Like, if I came up with an algorithmic equation to predict outcomes of elections and somebody else stole it from me and they were using it and they were, like, getting profits off of it, of course I would feel like myself, I want to make some money off this. Like, this person took this from me versus me selling it. But then I think to myself, like, but does somebody stealing it actually kind of legitimize it in some way? That it's, like, a really good product? It's worth stealing?
And I think that depends on if they're attributing it to you.
But I don't see any money from that still.
No, but you at least get the credibility from it.
Right.
Because a lot of times with sampling, they don't reveal who they're sampling, which I think is another interesting piece. Shadow briefly touches on that. Like, there was so much competition between DJs at the time that you didn't reveal who you were sampling in a track.
Right.
And so maybe even just listing them.
I mean, so is that, like, the easy way out? Like, is that the easy way to answer the question and saying, like, hey, listen, I sampled Clean, and then Clean's record sales go up, and that's enough?
Maybe. I don't know. That's hard to say. Well, I'm very interested to continue this conversation. Let's keep it going on Twitter this week. People, tweet us in. What do you think is better, this acknowledgement idea that we came up with or Shadow's percentage-based version? But I do want to get into Tyler's topic to finish out the show, because it is Father's Day, and we here on Dude's Brunch wanted to talk about dads this evening. So, Tyler,
sorry, there was
away.
a random video playing in the background of my internet. Sorry, I think it was DJ Shadow talking about.
Tell us about dads, Sean or Tyler.
Dads. Okay. So since we are a pop culture music, whatever you want to call it, podcast, I was like, I want to talk about Father's Day, but what's a fun way to do it? Let's talk about our favorite dads in popular culture. And I totally lost my my thingamajig. All right, so who is your favorite dad in pop culture, and why? Taylor.
I had a lot of trouble with this question. I did. Because, I mean, there are characters that are really great, but I wouldn't want as my dad. Like, Homer Simpson is awesome. I don't want to be Homer Simpson's son.
Right.
So
But it's Coffee Dad, right?
It's
Coffee Dad.
It might be Coffee Dad.
That's sad. That makes me really sad.
Massive bummer. No, I think, actually, maybe Phil Dunphy, the dad on Modern Family. He's kind of like a bumbling idiot dad. I don't know. I just find him really amusing. And he's kind of like a caricature version of my actual dad, so...
I've seen bits of that, and my dad's made very sort of rude comments saying I'm like one of the characters on the show. Whatever, I don't care. So I'm sort of opposed to watching that show just because I'm I don't. It's that show my dad makes fun of me about on. So.
I mean, I think it's pretty funny. It's a really interesting take on the family sitcom.
Right. So, Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Sean, favorite dad, why?
Bob Belcher's off of Bob's Burgers.
I knew you were going to pick Bob.
The reason that I chose that is because he's such a dynamic character, and he falls into conundrums all the time, and he always questions whether he's right, but he still has opinions and stuff. And that's why I think, okay, so he's not the perfect dad, but I really like that he still falls into these, he wants to be friends with his kids, but then he has to be a dad, and I think that reflects I don't know what it's like to be a dad, but I think that maybe reflects the reality of what it's like to be a father the most. And I like that he gives inanimate objects voices, and I love that.
You didn't want Jimmy Pesto Sr. as your dad?
No, I didn't, because Jimmy Pesto is a creep.
Truth. Tyler, who's your dad or fictional dad?
I don't even know, but I think my answer for right now is going to be Hank Hill, only just because
Yes.
he's not a bad dad. He's not necessarily a good dad, but he's not a bad dad because he's a bad person.
He's just kind of there.
He just doesn't know what a JPEG is. You know what? That's fine with him.
I felt like Hank was always he was a little bit behind the ball of what being a father was like. But he has to raise Bobby, and let's just be honest, Bobby is not the easiest kid to raise.
Probably the hardest, if we're being honest.
Is that true?
Actually,
I feel like Bobby is just a misunderstood child.
I think all kids are hard to raise. I just put that out there. No child is easy to raise, regardless of who they are.
So I think my second favorite, I just remembered this dad, is, I don't know, you guys probably haven't seen this, the dad from Submarine. Have you guys seen this movie?
Mm-mm.
It's a British, indie coming-of-age movie. But the dad is a depressed marine biologist. He's kind of like the Bill Murray, Wes Anderson character.
Mm.
And there's this great scene where the main character gets his first girlfriend, and his dad, awkwardly comes in with this cassette tape, and he's like, "Here, I made you this cassette tape of love songs. Just, don't flip it over to the B-side yet. That's all breakup songs for when your relationship ends, which is inevitable." And then he just, walks away. And I was like, best dad.
Okay,
but really,
so
the best dad, all of Westeros.
Go ahead, Tyler.
We had two thoughts there. Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say the dad from Juno,
Okay.
her dad, who's all accepting of her being pregnant and making mistakes and stuff like that. That is a quality of dad that I aspire to be. You know, like the accepting one that's like kind of full of wisdom, but still is respected by their children. I like that.
He's also, what is that actor's name?
I
Can't
know
think of
he's
his name, but he's just really cool.
yeah. He plays the jerk though, and what's it in like Spitfire or whatever that one is about the drummer of the jazz drummer.
Whiplash.
Yeah, Whiplash. He plays like kind of a jerk in that movie.
But the real best dad, the best dad in all of Westeros is Stannis Baratheon, but no one gets that joke on this show.
I do. I've
No, you
seen
don't.
enough of the internet to know who that is.
Oh, that's J.K. Simmons in Juno.
The dad from Arrested Development.
Brian
No
Cranston-
touching! No.
As in Oscar Bluth, or as
Oscar
in...
Bluth.
Or no, not
Although,
Oscar, George Sr.
There's so many fathers on that show, it's not even like...
Actually, yeah, every adult male character is the father of someone on that show.
Steve Holt!
Is that what my hair's gonna look like? Actually,
Brian
Sarah. I
Cranston
love you
is
so
the
much.
best dad.
I don't know. I think Michael is a pretty good dad.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
There you go.
He's a good dad in the way that Hank Hill is a good dad. He's like 2 steps behind his son at all times. Sometimes physically.
All right,
tried
so now
hard,
to the
though.
hard-hitting questions. The real question. Does
There you
a
go.
high-quality dad character need to be traditionally associated as a good dad, or does a bad dad also have its own merits?
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Oh, Sarah meant Jason Bateman.
Oh yeah.
Good
Yeah,
choice.
he's a good
He's
dad.
the real good dad. No, I think having a bad dad in a fictional story can be just as good.
Sterling Archer.
Yeah, Sterling Archer. The dad I was talking about from Submarine is like depressed and just kind of watching his marriage fall apart. But it makes him a really interesting character, and it makes for a good story. So
Sterling Archer makes Lana a good mother.
Mhm.
And if you do you watch Archer, Tyler?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I think you might like it. I don't know.
That's
but
something
like,
I would see myself watching. So
yeah.
you should.
Archer is such a bad dad that Lana, who isn't a bad mother, don't get me wrong, she's not there, but it makes her look even more golden.
Yeah. I think you need George Sr. to be kind of a bad dad for Arrested Development to work.
Realize how good Michael is.
And just for that show to work. Like,
Yeah.
so much of it is about the other character's childhood traumas of having him as a parent.
I don't know if it's him as much as it is, what's her name? His mom.
Lucille.
Yeah, Lucille Bluth is probably the most awful mother I've ever seen.
I love all of my children equally.
Right. Besides Buster. Buster might be the greatest son on television ever.
I do think,
Isn't there
though,
a Sun's Day? What the fuck?
we don't matter.
Get on it!
Maybe Monday before, or no, the Monday right after Father's Day is Son's Day.
Son's Day, yeah. So that way
Except
fathers
that's also
can
when
talk
sons
about how they would
could buy their Father's Day gifts.
Right. Well, that way sons could talk about how they would have done it better on Sunday. I think that's a
Right.
very son role to do, you know.
Luke agrees. Stannis, best dad.
Good. I'm glad someone watches that show. Best dad, N.A.
You got anything else on dads, Tyler?
Well, I was just want to make sure that we were clear that you don't have to be a good or a bad dad to be a good father figure in a show.
Yes.
And then the last question is there a certain kind of dad archetype you'd like to see more of? What do you want to see less of?
Crap dad that's always in moral conundrums. I just love that one over and over again. The Homer Simpson character is my favorite.
I realize it doesn't make for very interesting television. Maybe it does. You have to do it in a particular way. But I really like nerdy dad or like geek dad. I think Phil on Modern Family kind of gets this sometimes where he's like coming up with stupid inventions, like a toaster that notifies your smartphone when your toast is done, and just dumb stuff like that.
Are we going to have in like 10 years, are there going to be geek dads, and then the kids are going to be like, I don't want anything to do with this. And
I'm moving to the woods, Dad. I don't like your electricity stuff.
They're like, I'm going to play sports and read a book. And they're like, I don't get your superheroes, Dad.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Is that going to happen? Is that going to be a thing?
I can see it.
Sarah's comment was, she wants to see more dads that are emotionally engaged.
Of course you do, Sarah.
I mean,
I would like that too, to be honest.
I would too. I think we're getting better. I really do.
Right.
Again, I keep harping on Modern Family. Really, really great depictions of parents who are all emotionally engaged, but in their own unique ways that are based on their character traits.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really good. Even Archer, to a certain extent, is emotionally engaged. Not very often, and basically only when he's looking straight at his child. But, you know, he's better than Homer.
Homer can be emotionally engaged.
Is that true, Tyler? I think so. Homer's kind of awful. Like,
well, yeah, but that doesn't make him a bad guy necessarily.
I don't. Maybe like season 39 billion season Homer because they ran out of ideas. But like seasons maybe like 1 through 5 Homer, you're like he totally cares. He's totally like just a guy that's not very smart. That just tries to make some money.
So he might not care about like Bart, but he definitely cares about Lisa and especially about Maggie. This comes from watching all of the seasons of it.
Specifically Maggie, because she's the only hope he has of not fucking something.
She's like innocence and all the different stuff. She embodies a bunch of different ideals.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of moving away from family sitcoms right now, though. There aren't really that many on TV. Or, I mean, even family-centric movies aren't really, like, about families right now. So it's kind of hard to think about, like, what do we want from dad characters, because I don't really see that many of them.
I kind of want to see, like, dad-mom combo, where they, like, tag-team the kids. Like, instead of, like, I don't know, it feels like there's always, like, that level of antagonism between sort of all the parties, like, the mom and dad are fighting, but also fighting with the kids. I want to see, like, a solid, like, marriage where they, like, tag team these kids or something. You know, I want to... Or
so maybe you want to see The Incredibles again, basically.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, what's wrong with having sexy parents? You know, whatever. They can go have fun and do cool stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched it very much, but I think The Middle kind of has that vibe going. It's very similar to Malcolm in the Middle, if you remember that. Where there's a lot of, like, the kids are just so out of control that the parents have to band together to maintain a semblance of normalcy.
Mm-hmm. I guess Sean left.
Yeah, I think Sean just got so frustrated that he up and walked out on the podcast.
Okay. All right, so Taylor, since we have a moment, dirt baths. Would you take one?
No.
No?
That sounds awful.
But, like, armadillos and stuff take dirt baths.
I'm not an armadillo. I'm a human man. Why would I do that?
I mean, what if it was, like, really nice dirt?
No. Just no.
No? All right, then real question. Homer or Peter Griffin? Take your pick.
Homer, all the way.
Yeah?
I hate Peter Griffin.
Homer also the better dad?
Yeah. I think Peter is very manipulative and almost abusive, like borderline abusive.
All right, Sean, the questions are, would you take a dirt bath? And who's the better father, Homer or Peter Griffin?
Holy crap. Two very... Okay, dirt bath in what context?
Like, instead of taking a shower and you're, like, going somewhere, you just maybe get some really nice dirt and you just, like, some really fine dirt and just kind of, like, powder yourself.
Like a beautiful, majestic elephant? Yes.
Yeah.
See, I said no because I'm a normal person.
Well, that assumes that I was a beautiful, majestic elephant. If I'm a normal human being, yes, I'm definitely taking a shower. Who's the better dad? I'm gonna have to agree with Sarah. I'm gonna have to say absolutely Homer.
I said Homer too. Peter's
At
the
least he
worst.
cares. Like, Peter is funny, but I think like Peter is almost himself a child, and Homer is definitely very much a dad. Is he ready to be a dad? No. Is he a dad? Yes.
Wow,
What?
insightful.
Is Peter the better character?
No,
No.
Altogether, he's not.
absolutely not.
Okay.
I
Homer
like
is
Homer
an
much more than
inferior
Peter.
show, and
Peter-
Peter is an inferior character.
Yeah, Peter is funnier. Peter has like different. I think that just has to go with the writing of the show. Like Peter's sketches of like Peter doing Peter stuff are funny, but Homer as a father is definitely a much better father.
And I think he's just more amusing to play off of other characters. Like, you notice Peter's jokes on Family Guy are almost always all about him. Every character on Family Guy is like that. It's a series of vignettes about them, and not about their interactions with the other characters a lot of the time.
But I feel
Whereas
like
The Simpsons
Homer
feels like an ensemble.
right. I feel like Homer goes through like conundrums where he says to himself, where he has to go through fatherly situations. Where I feel like Peter's character is escapist in some ways. Like half of his vignettes are him like doing his own thing, whereas Homer has like memories of the children, or Homer's at the bar because his family life sucks. I think that might be like a necessary reality of being a father, that Homer is in touch with that Peter just isn't.
Wow. Tyler, Homer or Peter?
Yeah, Homer or Peter. Dirtbath.
I mean, I feel like maybe season 1 Peter versus season 1 Homer. I would probably give it to Peter, but in like, I think in Legacy, probably Homer. Like if we're counting everything together, probably still Homer. So I would just say that I feel like early Peter was a little bit more sympathetic as a father figure, and I would definitely say Peter was a funnier character and probably a little bit better. You know, The Simpsons I feel like very early on was sort of a little bit more heartfelt. You know, maybe not as funny, haha. So I would have given that to Peter, but obviously now, you know, it's probably Homer just as a more enjoyable character. Because
How should
Peter's
we
got off the
measure?
rails.
Can we measure the impact of fathers by a particular event, or do we measure the impact of fathers by the lineage of what they've done for us as children?
I think it's a combined effect thing. I really do. Barring some outlier events, I think it's primarily a combined effect.
Yeah.
It's difficult to judge it because we haven't actually seen any of the kids grow up.
The Simpsons are still the same age after being 26 years old.
Right. So it's like it's kind of difficult because you don't see the effects. Well, you do in The Simpsons, definitely, like in like the episodes where they kind of flash forward.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like glimpses of that, and I don't know if I don't remember if Family Guy has done anything like that, but I would.
Well, Meg becomes a guy, and Chris becomes married to a woman who beats him or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. He has a mustache.
But I think in some of the Simpsons alternate realities are really different depending on the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, The Simpsons is just a more fleshed out show in terms of characters.
That's what I
Makes it
thought
easier
too.
for us to talk about.
Right. Because when I was talking to Sarah about this, and I was saying how I didn't really. The first thing I went to was television shows, and I wondered if it was because I've watched like television is my preferred medium of consumption of fathers, or if that like television shows just allow us to have more developed characters.
I think it's that. You spend so much more time with them. Like, you really get to know their reactions to certain situations because you see it over and over again. Because one of my immediate thoughts when I read this topic was thinking about Ted from How I Met Your Mother, but then you realize that you never actually see him as a dad.
Right.
You just
That's a good
hear
point.
Bob Saget speaking as him, as a dad.
Right.
And so that's kind of an interesting, like, what kind of father was he? What happens to those kids type of thing. Right. Well, that clocks us in at about an hour, and I'm sure we could talk about this forever, but we don't want to get too Freudian. So at this point, I think we should jump into some shameless plugs. Let's start with Sean. Sean, do you have any shameless plugs this week?
My shameless plug is follow me on Meerkat for my auto vlogs. Been really popular this week. I think one day actually got like 65 viewers at one point in time, so that was pretty cool. It's just a spoiler alert for what goes on. It's pretty much just me coming home from work, talking about my day, talking about different topics. I kind of like amped the show a little bit yesterday night, talking about who my like top 5 fathers were. That wasn't number 1. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to lately.
It seems like you're kind of testing topics there to bring up here.
Yeah, I do a little bit. I kind of like prep this show. But I mean, tonight I kind of did like the historical tour of Akron when I was coming home, just a little bit. There's not really much history, but I mean that's what I've been up to lately, just kind of, or like things that I've been thinking about. So I mean that's pretty much all I've been up to. If you guys want to follow me on Evans, I know I don't have it up here. I need to fix it. Evans_M URGE. That's where to hit me up at.
The Black Keys might have been by this location at some point in their career.
They definitely were. I can attest to that.
Tyler, shameless plugs on your side.
Hey, what up? All right, so you can find me on Twitter, TDR Design. You can find my website, tylerdreed.com. You can also email me, tylerdreed@gmail.com. Just talk to me. I got a rejection letter for a design job, so hit me up. Hire me, please.
Sorry, Tyler.
I'll make your logos. I'll make your album covers, your gig posters, your T-shirts. Listen, just talk to me. I'm a cheap date. Let's do it.
Cool. Shameless plugs on my side. You can follow me on Twitter at TC Olmstead. I don't know. I just talk pop culture things over there. We're going to try and get Dude's Brunch Bingo going for episode 18, so be ready for that. And that's pretty much it. So
blah 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 blah. I'm just trying to get my name up on there so you can see my hashtag because I kind of like threw it up there. So
there you go.
Thank you.
Share the show with your friends. Please share this show with one other person this week. Just be like, hey, these people I know, they make this podcast. You should try it out.
Share it with someone you love. Share it with your father.
Yeah,
if everybody shared their father. We double our demographic right there.
Yeah, seriously. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Toodles.
Oh, smooches.